Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey everybody, it's Debbie Potts doing a new podcast of The Whole Athlete, Thursday edition, Real Thoughts with Debbie Potts. And today we're just doing a short episode. I say that as I start. I always get carried away on one of the important elements of the WHOLESTIC Method to improving your performance and longevity, training the whole you from the inside out would be sleep. I know so many athletes, myself included in my old life, push our schedules to the extreme. We wake up earlier to fit workouts in before work, and we take away lunch break to go get a swim in or something during the workday, and then we do something else after work. We end up having this overly scheduled, packed day. And we sacrifice our sleep to fit more in because we often think more is better. And if you read my book, Life is Not a Race, and read the WHOLESTIC Method manual and workbook that are both on Amazon, you may have learned a little bit more about the importance of sleep for recovery and repair, your detoxification, your growth hormone. All this stuff happens while you are sleeping. And as I explain to clients when I'm working them on nutritional therapy and the WHOLESTIC Method program, is that it's really important to sleep at night and go to bed on time. Ideally, you want to go to bed by 10 and wake up around 6 a.m. Depends on the time of year. I think the sunrise will change our sleep schedule a little bit. But it's really important to get about that 7 to 9 hours sleep and quality sleep. And I know a lot of people are wearing Oura rings and tracking their sleep. That's another topic. I think we get to be too obsessed with biohacking and tracking devices that then we are adding additional sources of stress, obsessing about our data, and adding a little bit more addictive personalities of checking things all the time and adding more distractions. So, you know if you sleep well or not. So you can impact your sleep with what you're eating before bed, eating too late before bed, being online, being on blue light, being stressed out, reading your email before bed, I think is horrible, and getting just toxic people in your life that just are the Debbie Downers and just make you feel like crap that you just can't sleep at night because you've got stress. So there's different reasons why we can't fall asleep, and there's different reasons why we wake up in the middle of the night. And as I studied to become a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner this year, the Dress for Health Success program that Reed Davis created in that program goes hand in hand with my WHOLESTIC Method, as sleep is one of my main areas to work on athletes when I'm training them, as well as R in the DRESS protocol means rest and recovery. So it's really essential part, especially for athletes that are competing at age group level or just trying to participate in a race or an event to finish it. It's still adding a lot of stress on your body, and it's important to sleep. As I started to say, the housekeeping service comes to our room while we're sleeping, like the tooth fairy, but it's cleaning our body and the inside out. So if you're not asleep, as I said, by 10, you're not going to get your house cleaned. So it's just like a hotel room, and you're trying to work in your hotel room. The housekeeping service is coming, but you're busy working or still showering or in the room that they say they'll come back later and clean your room when you're out of your hotel room. But what happens is they don't often come back, or it's too late. That's what I think about our sleep. If we don't sleep at the appropriate time, that housekeeping fairy is going to come in, and if you're not there, you're not going to get that service. So it's important to develop these sleep hygiene habits that promote really true deep rest and recovery. And a good mattress, a nice cool room, having your lights off, no flashing lights. I cover my clock. There's no light flashing from devices, even like your fire detector, smoke detector. So what we've learned is the 2 hours of sleep that you can get before midnight, so 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., are worth 4 hours of sleep after midnight to your adrenal glands, your hormones, your immune system, your brain function, and your detoxification system. Can you believe that? So if you're not going to bed before 10 p.m., you're missing that quality housekeeping service between 10 and 12 that's going to improve all those different systems. How much do you think lack of sleep impacts our ability to heal and rebuild and reset? It's a lot. And I know a lot of you listening probably sacrifice sleep and go to bed at 11, or I've had a client I'm helping, she's going to bed at midnight. She used to go to bed at 1 a.m. You're missing so much of that recovery repair while you're sleeping. And if you're an athlete, if you want to perform your best, if you want to improve your longevity, the aging process, you better start taking your sleep more seriously. So get to bed earlier. What I do, I get up like at 4:30 in the morning, and I've done that for so many years. So that's kind of naturally when I wake up during the week without alarm. By 5 a.m. I'm awake. So I go to bed around 8 p.m. in the summertime, earlier in the wintertime. And I have my little ritual. I'll, clean my face, wash my face, use a scrub. Then I put my oils on, and I like to get my clothes out for the next day and pack everything I need organized and laid out. So I'm ready to get up. And my coffee, I have the coffee pot water heater set up, and my beans out, coffee beans to grind, and my French press. So I have everything organized before I go to bed. And then I make sure I have time to read a book. And I've been reading a lot of books since I started having this goal, since I was in the nutritional therapy program, where we had book assignments to read every month for homework, and I had to do a book report. So it really was beneficial because I started to get in a routine of reading books before bed, and now I'm reading because I want to read a book. I have a silly goal of reading 3 pages or more, and usually I can read more. I started using reading glasses, and that helps make those words a little bigger, and I get sleepy. Then I go to bed, and I have such a better sleep. I do take some supplements before bed, the natural stacks you can find on my website, but I find taking the Mag Time that they have, a combination of magnesium, the GABA neurotransmitter support they have, and the CBD Dream. The 3 of those supplements together before bed give me amazing sleep. So you can find my sleep hacks on my website, debbiepotts.net, if you want to learn more about my favorite sleep hacks. So sleeping, well, the other thing I do with people in my coaching programs, no eating 3 hours before bed. So for us, I have my husband and I stop eating at 5 p.m. during the week, school days, I call it, work days. So we eat, our main meal is our lunch in the afternoon. And if we feel like we ate earlier and you kind of feel a little hungry, I have a bone broth that I make us and have a cup of bone broth. And that actually is honestly filling and satiating and drops all cravings that I might have to eat anything. So I add, my new thing is truffle sea salt in my bone broth. So not eating after 5 o'clock, or if I have to have something, a cup of bone broth. Grass-fed, free-range chicken, organic, of course. You don't want to have poor quality bone broth. That's really disgusting. If you've ever watched how bone broth is made, you definitely want good quality sourced animals that make that broth. I like to think of it as healing broth. I hate the word bone broth. So healing broth is beneficial. So I have one main meal a day called OMAD. I found over the years, and eat a time-restricted feeding window. So eat, usually in a 3-hour span by the time I get home, and I do my intermittent fasting. And then some days are a little longer that I just wait till I get home and then I can make my own meal. And Tuesday, Thursdays is earlier in the day. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it might be like a 3 o'clock time I eat. So that's it. I have enough to eat that I feel full. So not eating before bed is really beneficial for your sleep. So let's go into what I learned in FDN, what I found really interesting, the proper sleep cycles. So let's talk a little bit about this. A few years ago, I did do a podcast with Dr. Maffetone. We talked about the sleep cycle and the different sleep stages of sleep. You can go back and listen to that. All of our old podcasts, by the way, should be on debbiepotts.net. If you go to podcasts, and it should be in our archives, we have 100 episodes from Fit, Fat, Fast that John Smith and I started in 2011, which right now it seems like keto and metabolic efficiency and fat-fueled, fat-adapted athlete, keto athletes is really more interesting to people, finally. But we did all this stuff years ago. So you can go back and listen to so many past episodes where we talked about this stuff before it was really even known and really people had interest in it. So going to focus here. Proper sleep cycles. 7 to 8 hours is often what most people need. So we have non-REM or deep sleep is one of the most rejuvenating habits that we can follow. And then we have the benefit in that stage of sleep's getting the growth hormone. And also detoxification, as I said, helps for your body and your brain. Now in FDN, we talk about metabolic typing diets. If you've read that book, I had to read it for Paul Chek's program when I became a holistic lifestyle coach, and nutritional therapy, we talked a little bit about it as well. So metabolic typing is to figure out if you're a fast oxidizer or a slow oxidizer. And if you ever have done a hair mineral test, that you have to cut off part of your hair and have a little bald spot for a few months. But that is a great heavy metal test. Metals, they also can tell your mineral supplements, and it tells you if you're a slow or fast oxidizer. So I am obviously a fast oxidizer, which means I'm better with a higher protein fat diet and lower carbohydrate. So they talk about metabolic typing diet to make sure you're eating right for your type and balancing your blood sugar so you don't have your blood sugar roller coaster happening while you're sleeping and waking you up. So when we're working with people, obviously I'm more low carb, high fat keto, but I'm going to have people focus on no sugar and becoming fat adaptated. And part of that is no alcohol to really help heal people for 90 days. I try to get people to do 30 days is tough, but 90 days is a great goal. So many people wake up between 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. And a common cause of waking up is low blood sugar, or it could be elevated cortisol because of low blood sugar. So remember, I always talk about every stress response causes a blood sugar response. So if you have high blood sugar, insulin's released, it lowers your blood sugar, and then you often get hypoglycemic or low blood sugar. So then that seems like an emergency to your body. So cortisol, the hormone, stress hormone, cortisol is released to raise our blood sugar back up. So that could cause you to wake up between 2 and 3 a.m. There's other hidden stressors that we talk about, internal hidden stressors as FDN. I was talking to different Facebook group pages, people struggling with sleep. This is an area that you want to get lab testing to see what's going on, because you don't know. It's like a car. If you look under the hood, what's really causing the engine to malfunction? You don't know unless you test. So there's so many different parts in your car, same with your body. So we can do some different lab testing, figure out what's going on. But part of that is doing a Dutch hormone test. It's a dry urine test, or what we use as a BioHealth 205A test to see if your cortisol, melatonin hormone, with a saliva test that we measure 4 times in one day to find your circadian rhythm. So sometimes people have elevated cortisol, and it might come up in the morning. You might find yourself having elevated morning cortisol because of different reasons. We could have elevated at night. Well, if your cortisol is low in the morning, it could be because you have a gut issue, so a parasite, gut bug. It could be that blood sugar response. But then we can look at if cortisol is elevated at nighttime, it will lower your melatonin secretion. Remember, cortisol and melatonin kind of fluctuate in opposition. So when melatonin should be going up at sunset, at nighttime, melatonin should rise and cortisol should go down. When the sun rises in the morning, our cortisol should be going up and our melatonin down. So if your rhythm is dysfunctional, your normal diurnal rhythm is off, then you could have harder time sleeping. If your melatonin's low when it should be high, make it harder to sleep, which can delay the sleep-wake cycle. And another thing I love learning about is in Chinese medicine. If you have a Chinese medicine doctor, as I have an acupuncturist who does a lot of Chinese medicine with me, is the sleep time. Think of that liver detoxification, that internal housekeeping service that comes. You will find the liver in Chinese medicine is being treated. So it's called, your sleep time is called the liver time in Chinese medicine. So the next topic I want to touch on are children. I see so many people's kids, as I'm a personal trainer of a fitness studio until this year. I'm closing it down to do this more. But kids, how many people do you know their kids have ADD, ADHD? Their teenagers are staying up because there's soccer practice, at least in Seattle where I am, at 9 o'clock at night sometimes. Kids are busier than we are. If you think I had my stress, adrenal dysfunction, HPA axis dysfunction, because I was burning the candles at both ends and living my life as a race, waking up at 3:45 in the morning, getting home at 7:30 at night. Well, kids are getting up early and they're staying out till way late with sports and homework and different practices that they do. And then they don't go to bed till like 10 or 11, and then they're on social media, on their electronics. So I think we really have to be careful of what kids of all ages are doing, younger kids and teenagers, because insufficient sleep can be highly related to ADD, attention deficit disorder. And overstimulation, which I think would come from those electronic devices everyone's glued to, and trouble falling asleep. And if you're always going to bed off schedule, it's difficult to, really help that mental performance for kids in school. So getting kids to bed earlier will help this and reset their circadian rhythm. But it's amazing that teenagers often need more sleep than younger children or adults, and saying that adolescents and people and even college, they need about 9 hours of sleep compared to the 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So it's really stressful to see these kids not sleeping and they're just going 100 miles an hour at such a young age. Okay, so what else do you do for your sleep? I know I keep the room cool. I have the room dark drapes. Essential oils helps, like lavender and a diffuser, and I even saw them at Costco now. And then I have my little brainwaves music I play. Now I'm trying to get rid of any EMF, so not having any Wi-Fi on in your room and make it that sanctuary is really important. But think about what you can do to create more of a spa-like room and help you sleep. I think so many people are just on their TVs and computers too late at night, eating too late at night. I know a lot of people that drink too much wine weekdays. I would maybe look at that as your area of opportunity and stop drinking alcohol during the week and just have it on a weekend. It should be a special event, special occasion, unless you're able to have like half a glass of wine or share a glass of wine. But so many people are eating too many carbohydrates, sugars, processed foods, vegetable oils at nighttime, and eating too close to bed. That will cause digestive issues, I think. And alcohol too late at night. I think that's kind of disrupting the sleep and the blood sugar roller coaster. So part of our goals when I'm coaching people is get them to be fat burning, to be fat adapted. And to do this, we do have to go lower carbohydrates. And if you're an athlete, those carbs can be higher. You can probably tolerate more carbohydrates than others and still burn fat and show even ketones in your keto mojo or keto meter you're testing on. But having less food at nighttime might be something to try, and time restricted eating and intermittent fasting. So try stop eating 3 hours before bed. Will help your digestive system and let your body have more time to detoxify and repair and reset at nighttime, recalibrate, all those R words. And get up in the morning, ideally without an alarm. You should feel refreshed and energized. We shouldn't feel tired and draggy and cranky. You should feel ready to go tackle the day. And waking up in the morning, ideally, if you can get outside and get some fresh air, get grounding, get your bare feet out on the ground. If you can go for a walk around the block, get exposure to daylight, that will help your melatonin, circadian rhythm, getting that morning daylight sun exposure, depending on where you live, I guess. And I think it is just nice to start your day that way too. The other thing you can start your day with or end your day is a gratitude journal, taking time to be grateful, to give thanks. It's also great stress reducers and help you just kind of meditate, do some breathing exercises before bed and belly breathing, box breathing, nasal breathing. There's different things that you can do, but the gratitude verbally is beneficial, or writing things down if you like to journal. I think that helps. The other thing to help your sleep and also your stress is not exercising too late in the day. I find when people do a hard workout close to bed, you're probably a little more hyped up and find it more challenging to go to bed. So if you can schedule your higher intensity, higher heart rate workouts earlier in the day, like 3 to 5 p.m. rather than right before bed. And then often people feel like they have to eat and then they're going to bed right afterwards. So kind of shift all that. Stop working out a little earlier unless you're doing a gentle walk or a yoga class or something more winding down instead of winding yourself up at night. So sleep will be improved, I find, with people if they change their workouts around so it doesn't interrupt your sleep cycle. Meditation, the breathing exercises, breathing through your nose. I was trying to fall asleep last night actually and just put my hands on my belly and just focus on breathing in deeper and feel that rise and fall of my belly, and it just kind of puts me to sleep. I also think of Ernie and Bert from Sesame Street and try to like counting my inhales 1 to 10 and then exhale, count down from 10 and doing things like that. Remember Bert, or is it Ernie, Sesame Street, counted sheep. It helps because it takes away your mind off your worries. And I have a lot going on right now, so it's a little stressful in my work life because I am closing my business. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my clients. My trainers have found a place to work. I don't have a place to train clients. Everything's kind of crazy, and it's really trying to keep positive and believe in what I'm doing is going to create impact, and I'm making the right decisions, but I'm still trying to find a place to train my clients, and I have to sell all my equipment I have in my studio is the biggest pain. And all of this really can mess up my sleep if I allow it to. So taking time to get off work brain and shut it off is really what I'm working on before nighttime to help my sleep. So doing the breathing exercises, reading a book is really helping, even though I'm reading The Plant Paradox, which makes you think, okay, what the heck can we eat? But we all need to be carnivores now, keto carnivores. And just shift your mind from all that busyness from your work schedule. If you have stress at work or you have people that are stressing you out, I find that's a good reason not to look at text messages or emails 2 hours before bed, because if I read something that's negative, I'm kind of a sensitive person and I will be drilling those words in my head until I go to sleep, and it will mess me up. Another area of opportunity is not having coffee late in the day. And if you did your genetic testing, I always tell people to try DNA Fit. If you take your 23andMe or ancestral DNA, upload it to DNA Fit, you can tell if you well, actually 23andMe might tell you this too, but how you metabolize caffeine. I can drink coffee to about 12 o'clock, or my rule is 12. 2 o'clock, it's really pushing it, especially cold brew I had a couple months ago, and it kept me up all night long. So I'm definitely not having cold brew after 11 a.m. because that stuff's potent to me. A lot more caffeine. So having coffee, green tea even, anything with caffeine in it, really be careful because that will disrupt your sleep. What else? I think the breathing exercises really help. And if you still have trouble sleeping, I would really work on the lab testing that we do in FDN. It helps you identifying hidden stressors that might be causing stress, and stress will impact your sleep, and working on figuring out what you can eat and not eat. Because I just had a client I was helping with their digestion because they were eating too close to bed and causing some digestive issues when they lie down and go to bed because they ate too close to bed and they had alcohol and they're eating foods that they're sensitive or reactive to, and they don't have enough HCl, the stomach acid, and enzymes to break down the food. So when you go lie down, your body's trying to digest all this food you just put in it, and you don't have the right HCl, stomach acid, and the enzymes, so it's just kind of coming back up and not moving south. So you always want to work north to south on digestion. Eat the right foods, eat at the right time, and eat slowly and relax so you get the digestive processes happening at the body's innate intelligence should know how to do it, but we have to add a little supplementation. So we want to look at internal stressors, anything that's malfunctioned. So to restore normal function health, we need to identify and remove all the hidden internal stressors that may be causing sleep dysfunction, disruption. So getting some lab testing might be something you want to look into next. So working on the stress will help your sleep. Working on what you eat will help lower your stress and improve your ability to sleep. So everything's connected. Think the WHOLESTIC Method is your nutrition, your exercise, sleep, stress, movement, which is mobility, digestion, gut health, hormone balance, and then hydration. And the 8th element is happiness, which is play and gratitude, laughing, letting yourself be silly so we're not so uptight, anxious, type A personalities that people just want to say, take a chill pill. We don't want to be that person. So anything else you guys have to add to that list, that'd be great to put in the Facebook page, the Whole Athlete Podcast, or you can go to the Low Carb Athlete page and bring any comments up you have as well for improving your sleep. So we'll talk next time about digestion. I do want to do a show on that, and I want to talk about oxidative stress and antioxidants, how we can help the mitochondria. So there's lots of things I want to touch on too on my Thursday episodes as I study for my FDN practitioner certification and going over what I'm learning with you and talking about how I'm integrating nutritional therapy, FDN, and DNA fit genetic testing using strategy and all these different data. We can collect all this information, as I say, put the pieces of the puzzle together because it's so different for everybody, and there isn't one size fits all, but we can create a program for you that will help optimize your health at a cellular level to improve your performance longevity. I will be running my 30-day group online programs monthly. So you can do them, I think 90 days would be ideal, but you can do them just for 30 days, starting that this fall in November. So it'll be phase 1 is a 5-day fast jumpstart. Then we move into phase 2, the 21-day reset, recalibrate. And then phase 3 is 80-20. How can we create this as a lifestyle and put it all together? So I'll be running that every month online for groups, and we'll have recorded calls. So if you live in Australia or the UK or somewhere else in the world, not in my Seattle Pacific time zone, you can listen to the calls, but we'll have weekly calls and Facebook private group rooms. But that's what I'm going to do for my job. So hopefully you support my journey. Don't forget to look at the Facebook page and Instagram, Low Carb Athlete, for my new hats I created for the podcast called the Fat Adapted Athlete. cool trucker hats and I put 5 different colors on there. And then there's t-shirts. You can get the Fat Adapted Athlete. So let me know if you want the Fat Fueled Athlete, because I did do those as well, or the Fat Adapted Athlete, or we can do Metabolic Efficient Athlete, something like that, but there's more words. So let me know your feedback. If you like what you're listening to, please help me out and write a review, 5-star review ideally, so we can help grow this podcast as I close my fitness studio. This is my full-time job. So if you can support the podcast, support the online coaching program and individual coaching to help train the whole athlete from the inside out with the Holistic Method, so you improve your ability to burn fat, to optimize the mitochondria function, and improve your performance for not just your life this year and your races, but look ahead into the future. I'm all about improving that aging process. So I hope you stop living life as a race and enjoy as a journey, and join me on this new journey transformation that I'm making this fall. So I look forward to meeting you in Ironman Hawaii, Wednesday of Ironman Hawaii week in Kona, Wednesday 4 to 6 p.m., hopefully in the Bike Works shop out on Ali'i Drive. All right, keep in touch, guys. Thanks for your support.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.